Hi, good evening to all of you. Let me just wish, on behalf of BMA, Happy Diwali to all the attendees on this auspicious day, the Choti Diwali day. And it's so nice to have Professor Vipin Gupta for our Wednesday Wisdom webinar. I'd like to start by, first of all, on behalf of our Dr. Kavita Lagate, the current president of BMA, past presidents of BMA, members of the Executive Council, and attendees. I'm extremely excited to welcome Professor Gupta for this particular webinar today, which is titled as Planning for Global Presence, Value of Brand India. Now, you all can imagine the fact that we've got approval for Covaxin, the vaccination, the vaccine produced in India has got approval from the World Health Organization. It really means that somewhere something we are doing it right, and probably that's the reason why brand India is really picking up, year after year. And to talk about that, especially from the external perspective, and see what's happening around. Professor Vipin Gupta has a huge amount of wonderful academic credential, which I'd like to speak about right in the beginning before we request Professor Gupta to speak, talk about, uh, give his talk on planning for global presence, value of brand India. Professor Vipin Gupta has a master's and a PhD from Wharton School for the University of Pennsylvania. He's been a gold medalist for outstanding scholastic performance in the postgraduate program at IIM Ahmedabad. He's been a top rank holder at BCom Honors from Delhi University at Shriram College of Commerce, and he's a rank holder for a graduate program of the Institute of Cost and Works Accounts of India. You can jolly well imagine the kind of academic credential which we have, wonderful credential which we have of Professor Gupta. Uh, Professor Gupta is a professor of management and co-director at Center of Global Management at the Jack H. Brown College of Business Administration of California State University in San Bernardino. Professor Gupta has offered several training programs and workshops on strategic planning and cross-cultural management to senior executive administrators and defense personnel all over the world. And he's been a visiting guest faculty for many business schools in India, and also served on the board of governors of a large number of top class B schools in our country. His scholarly credential include publication of more than 180 plus journal articles and book chapters, including in leading journals of the world as such. He has presented uh, in many international conferences and in more than 60 nations, and his papers are cited in lot many top class journals in the world as such. Professor Gupta has been a recipient of the coveted 2005 Scott Myers Award for Applied Research in the Workplace for Society for Industrial Organization Psychologists, USA. He's been a governor of India. He's been a governor of India, government of India's global initiative of academic networks, known as the acronym is well known as GIAN. In 2021, Professor Gupta is publishing at least 12 self-authored books under project what we call as the vastly integrated process inside nature, the VI PIN, that integrates vast realms of ancient India wisdom and modern science and addresses major metaphors physical gaps in uh, 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 both by illuminating the secret of natural science essence and essential nature as such. We have such a wonderful person to speak on such a topic of huge relevance. I can always tell you that when I was growing, I had a dream, and everyone in the world has a dream that his country or his or her motherland becomes one day becomes a superpower and has a wonderful brand. Now that wishful dreaming is a fantastic idea, no doubt about that. But there are a lot of things which are really needed to be in that kind of stage. And when it comes to branding these days, it's a well-established fact that you can't hide anymore anywhere at all, because the nation's economic performance or the credentials of the nation is very well known by all over the world as such. So in this kind of competitive world, in this kind of scenario which is rattled by the COVID-19 problems, where almost everywhere institutions suffered, economies suffered. Where do we see really ourselves? And I sincerely believe that Professor Vipin Gupta he has the right kind of credential, to speak about planning for global presence and the value of brand India. As an Indian, when I go out, I really want to feel that, significance of being a citizen of this country. So over to you, Professor Gupta, and we are extremely excited to listen to you for such a wonderful topic. Over to you, Professor Gupta.
Thank you, Dr. Verma, and thank you for that great introduction. And I wish you and everybody a very happy Diwali. And this Diwali is particularly special because it provides kind of a completely new light in the context of the challenges that we have been facing. And so when we talk about Diwali, of course, light is an important factor. And we know from our wisdom that the source of light is sun, right? And the sun is source of both light and energy. And so I will begin motivating today's conversation based on that thought. And today I'm also kind of launching my 9th book in the series that Dr. Verma just talked about. So I'm working on these 12 books, and this book I have named as Trading Factor in Mathematics Beyond Einstein, and I will explain in a minute what this book is. So we know that a sun is the source of energy. The solar light is ultraviolet light. And from physics, we know that ultraviolet light kind of divides into energy plus a quantum particle called meron. And that's a half instanton, and it has a collective potential of the universe. So let me just bring it down. And the meron, science tells us that divides into 2 units that flows with time. Each is a twin pi bond. So we all know pi. So meron is a twin pi bond, and that's called an instanton. And that divides into a meron pair. And a meron pair comprises of 4 merons. Because there's a 2 twin pi bonds, and they are each dividing into a pair. So that means that there's a 4 merons with 2 pi bonds. And if you look at kind of 2 pi bonds, then it means that there are 8 merons with 2 twin pi bonds, and that means that there are 10 merons, and it means there's a 10 unit mass consciousness that's called a kaon. Now, the kaon is a light potential. And we know that it's a whole aeon, and it's a strange anti-quark, and that comprises of 9 photons that attract a 10th photon with a potential of 9 more photons and antiphotons. So light comprises of 90 photons and antiphotons, the visible light, and that has 180 units. And in India, interestingly, 180 unit light is called yam. So that is called yam, okay? And I, in one of my books, I explain kind of all the different forms of yam and shani. And actually, yam is also a masculine form of shani. And you will be very surprised to know that if you look at kind of ancient Indian scriptures, shani was not a masculine. Shani was actually a feminine who reincarnated as Yam's younger brother. And so shani was actually the mother of sun. And that's what is given in our ancient scriptures. And so after giving birth to sun, Shani reincarnated as sun's younger son. And interestingly, essentially, Yam is the masculine form of Shani. And so light has that 180 units. Now, sun's energy gives speed to the absolute quark. And what is absolute quark? So this, all these twin pi bonds, they become an absolute quark. So this mass consciousness is immanent in a absolute quark. In our ancient literature, the mass consciousness is called Satma, S-A-T-M-A, Satma. And it gives speed to the absolute quark for attracting this 180 unit light and repelling a 18,000 unit space. And that's called Asita. So Asita is the form of Shani. So one of the names of Shani is Asita. Asita means abode. So it's a abode of the universe that gets created. So electromagnetic mass is only a partial reality, that energy forms separately from light that is being attracted and repelled from speed. So when you look at Einstein, what he did was he looked at electromagnetic mass and he looked at energy, and he said that energy is attracting this light. So this light is being attracted, and this light is being repelled with speed. So that means that speed is being squared. And that speed square is connected with light. So he combined speed square with light and said that it's a speed of light. And then he looked at electromagnetic mass, because when you repel and attract something, it becomes electromagnetic. You repel something, it's electric force. If you attract something, it's a magnetic force. So the total mass is electromagnetic mass. Now, if you repel everything and you attract everything, what you have is zero. Electromagnetic mass in physics is zero energy, because everything is being attracted and repelled. So mc squared is electromagnetic mass, which is zero. Energy and space is not. But in Einstein equation, he says energy is equal to mc squared. So of course, that's true. Every child knows that if you make m as zero, energy equal to mc squared. You can make it E equal to mc cube, you make it E equal to mc power 4, whatever you say, that's correct. Now, why scientists are not able to understand this, even though they understand that Einstein's equations and what he has done, that's a partial reality. It doesn't really gel with the actual reality, and they're not able to kind of reconcile that. And I will explain that in the context of kind of this space, okay, and what the space is and how do we see this space, and that will become clear, because the basis of E equal to mc square equation in Einstein's work is these three equations that Einstein has given, and we need to understand kind of how that field is formed. And this space is the field. Okay, so this is another word in Hindi. There's a letter called K, and K technically means field. So if you look at kind of if you look at dictionaries in Indian dictionaries, and you look at what's the meaning of letter K, K means field. Okay, and field is the same as space. And so what Einstein has given is that he has tried to understand the space. And so we'll try to understand what's Einstein's understanding of space versus what are the alternative understanding of space in physics. So outline of my presentation today is 4 paths to global presence. And that will, I will connect that to management, because I'm a management professor. And a lot of people ask me that why you are discussing this, because I'm taking a management approach to integrating things. How do you manage space? How sun is a manager of space? How sun is a manager of light and energy? And if you understand how sun manages space and energy and the mass that gets created, the universe that gets created, then we can also be like sun. And in Diwali, kind of, when we talk about kind of that light be with you, essentially kind of what we are greeting you is that you be a sun. So how can you be a sun which illuminates everyone? By illuminating yourself as well. And so therefore kind of we need to understand kind of these 4 different paths, and also kind of the value brand India from 4 different value perspectives, because light is the value, that's the mulya of whatever energy the sun has. So because energy and light, and if you want to understand energy, you have to understand that value in terms of light. And of course, then there's a mental health challenge that I will allude to as we do this. So Einstein path. According to Einstein, it is not possible to shape time into a time curve distinct from space. He says that space-time is an integrated construct. One can only shape space time gets shaped with the curved space. So shape means form, and that's a Rupa. Okay, and Einstein's hypothesis is that forming time is a function of forming space. If you can globalize your space, you will be globally present. Now think for a moment. There are many ways in which you can globalize your space, because there are many ways in which you can conceive your space. Right now, at this very moment, I will invite you to globalize your consciousness and globalize the space in which you see yourself. You can start with yourself and your identity, how global you believe your identity is global. You can then expand your consciousness to look at the things around in your room and see how much of that is inspired by global culture, how much of that has been purchased on global channels from global multinationals, how much of that has been bought from companies that operate internationally, that are importing things from internationally. So visualize that, seep in that energy into your consciousness. Then globalize your consciousness further, look at the city that you are in and see how globally vibrant the city is, or the village where you are is, how much connectivity it has with the global environment. Globalize your consciousness further to the whole earth and see how many places have you visited, how many places have you visualized, seen pictures, where your family members are, where your friends are, where you're socially connected, the social media that you use, where is it located, where are the servers. Globalize your consciousness further to look at India and where India and the world has their connections. So we have spacecraft in different places. So humans already have presence outside Earth. Globalize your consciousness further to conceive the entire universe from where you are getting light and where your light, your particles that you are emitting every moment, your aura that you're emitting every moment, that's traveling to each nook and corner of whatever exists. And then come back to your reality and see where you see yourself in terms of that globalizing space. Okay, now you are globally present. So what I just did is a meditation transcending exercise to help you connect with your reality. Now, with that reality, rate how global is your present space, and you can look at these icons that you have, the reactions that you have in Zoom, and I would like to see where you are. So if you can choose one of the icons to say that I am at 1, my space is fairly less global, versus 6, it's highly global. So if you could please choose your reactions so that I can see where you are. Okay, so all of you know how to choose the reactions, right? So it's the reaction button. Okay. I still can't see. It's not showing me your reactions. Okay, so yes, so these are coming. So right now only 4 people have given reactions. So can you give, all of you can give the reactions? Okay. it's only 5 people. Okay. So a lot of people are saying hands up. Okay, so this one thumbs up, and so that seems to be the dominant area. Kind of, so we are so it's good. Kind of, so it shows that optimism that we have, that we can now kind of travel internationally. Kind of COVID is getting settled down, but there's still some cautiousness that we cannot clap hands and we cannot celebrate as yet. So that's good. Now that reflects the mood of the day. Now, let's look at the factors that account for the variations in space's globalization value. The very first factor is the belief system that we have. And belief system influences our perceived reality. How do we perceive how global is our space? So if you see your space like this, how global is your space? Is your space global 6? The 6 icons that I said that you can choose from? Or is it 9? Okay. Now, some person might say that, that it really depends on 2 different perceptions. So there can be only 3 possibilities. Either the one who is saying 6 is right, or the one who is saying 9 is right, or none of them is right. There's another reality, something else. So in management, typically the people who are initial managers, junior managers, so what they do is they bring in the person who is saying 6 and who says 9. And they say that let's look at what's the reality, and the reality that might become 15, or the reality might become 3, depending on how astute you are in managing the meeting. If you can bring them together, then you say it's 15. If this person who is saying 9 is dominant, then you say maybe 3. If the person who is saying 6 is dominant, maybe you say -3 is the reality. Right. But as you become more senior and as you go to top management, you realize that each one of them have an illusion. And so reality is something else. And therefore, the top manager then begins to introduce their reality into the space. Right. And so their reality could be 6 times 9, 54. Their reality may be 9 divided by 6, 1.5. Their reality may be 9 power 6 or 6 power 9. Depending on how you are able to see the permutation combinations of the realities which are being presented in different forms in front of you. So in management, I'm a professor of international business, we call it ethnocentrism. That perceived space is greater than present reality. That's what is ethnocentrism definition. The conceived reality is 6. That you perceive the 6 globalized ones. And what are the 6 globalized ones? Those are the 3 local time elements, past, present, and future. And you reproduce that. And these 2 people are reproducing that. Right? And you as a manager is triangulating that reality. And by triangulating, we know that if you triangulate, that's a very important method for knowing the reality. Right. And so that becomes a spatial coordinate 9. And the present reality is that both local and global spatial coordinates are both negative ones, because they are not, none of them are reality. They are both imagination. They are both illusion. Not imagination, illusion. They are both Maya. And they are illusionary production. The magnetic force of the present reality is the experience time, what we experience as a manager. And that is called entity tensor. And Einstein calls Ricci, and this person, Ricci, can introduce that. It's called Ricci curvature tensor. and it's a -2. The perceived space is called geodesic torsion. That's just a technical term, and it's -1. My space is a global spatial coordinate, and that's absolute 0, param shunya. Okay, it's called metric tensor. Your space is a cosmological constant because your space can be reproduced. My space cannot be. So my space is absolute. Your space is not an absolute. It's everything else that gets created. Electromagnetic mass of a space is 0. Our space is a curving half 0. Therefore, it makes a C, and it's -6 and -6 because there are two spatial coordinate these conceived realities, your and mine. That's -12, and their space is 0. So what you're doing in ethnocentrism is that whatever is their space, you transform. So our space, you transform that into their space. You overlap that into their space. Okay, so now let me kind of move on, and I'm not going to kind of again. I'm going to show you kind of the Einstein's equivalents and works and the limitations of Einstein's work in each one of them, but I'm not going to dwell on it. I will post these PowerPoints so that you can look at them in future at your own leisure. So, and these all these are reported in the book which I'm mentioning. So factors accounting for the variations in space globalization value. The second one is a behavior system. So if in terms of your behaviors, if you are socially connected internationally, so you can be socially connected with your friends in India who have never traveled overseas, who don't have global connections, and they all talk about only things within India and what's happening in India. They read news only about India. They buy things which is only India, or they buy things they don't know what the international connections of those things. So as a result, we conceive a reality because of our behaviors. And we say that because we have all local connections, therefore our space is not as global. On the other hand, if your behaviors are connecting multiple centers which are global. Okay, so if you become polycentric and you are connected, you have something from Malaysia, you have something from USA, you have something from Europe. In that case, you will see your reality in a different way. Okay, so moment a thought is conceived, you brought that into your reality. So that's a polycentrism. Polycentrism is a basic idea that whole pi is greater than wholesome pi. So wholesome pi is the sum of pi. So whole is greater than sum of pi. Right. And so that's their coordinate, which is the pi that you want to eat. Because as a manager, your goal is that whatever other people know, you want to consume that. So in Hindi, it's called PAI. And in our ancient literature, pi is given as 1/4. It's a quarter. It's a measure of quarter. You look at the measure, matrix in Indian wisdom. So that's pi is their coordinate, and our coordinate, I have divided that into global coordinate and local coordinate. So that's a wholesome pi, that's free. And we are reproducing that to create a spatial coordinate. That's a whole pi. Okay, so that's how come this 22/7 gets created. That because you have two 2's and the total reality is 7. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is based on 3. Okay, this is also our coordinate, global coordinate and local coordinate. It's a reproduction of this by two people, of which one is individual manager, other person is two collectives. That's why it's 9, because it's 9 includes manager and two individuals that the manager is triangulating. So total reality, Vastvita, is 7. You can triangulate that by saying that space has 4 dimensions and time has 3 dimensions. Therefore, reality is 7. And so that's how this pie gets created. And actually there are multiple ways in which you can see this pie. You can see that whole, that 7 pi, you can of course see 7 pi, but you can see 6 pi, 5 pi here, there are 5 elements, and or you could see only 1 element. It depends on what you are perceiving. That pi is a square pi when we say 22/7, but it's also 5 pi. When we say 5 pi, it becomes gravitational, Newton's universal gravitation constant. Okay, that's what is 5 pi, circle pi. And if you look at this 3, that's the Einstein's absolute gravitation constant. And then you can also look at 6 pi, that's a triangular pi. So there are multiple ways in which you can see, you can overlap those realities, and it's called quantum reality, or you can see that individual separated reality is a partial reality or reality. Now, factors accounting for the variations of space's globalization value, the third element, is a becoming system. If over time you started as a very local mindset and you have been consciously making effort to get connected internationally because you want to be present internationally, maybe you want to migrate to the US, maybe you are charmed by all the international brands, everything, and you want to purchase them and you are associated with them. Now, of course, over time, you're becoming more global. On the other hand, if you are Mahatma Gandhi, you will say that I don't want to, I already globalized space and I realized the folly of it. Now I want to go Swadeshi. So if I ask you, if you're Mahatma Gandhi, if you've already experienced that globalization cycle, now you say, I'm localizing. I've seen the folly of that globalization cycle. And because I spent so much money, it gave me so much tension, mental tension, trying to see whether I purchase from Italian or purchase from American. If I purchase from Italian, American friend got upset. If I purchase from American, then somebody else got upset. So my experienced reality, becoming influences your experienced reality. Okay, and of course, there are possible reasons behind experience that I just mentioned, and there are possible futures that stem from those reasons. Reasons are hetu, the karana. Okay, and each one of those absolute quarks is a current. So reason energy value is 1. And so a geocentrism means that whole pi is less than wholesome whole pi, because what geocentrism means that you can convert Italy into a world center. You can convert your Germany into a world center. How? By creating knowledge. If geocentrism in international means, business means that every center in the universe becomes isomorphic. It becomes the same because you globalize everything. In the US, you go to everywhere, you go to McDonald's, everywhere McDonald's in the US is same. Of course, once McDonald's went internationally, they realized the folly of that, folly of geocentrism. Because there were different regions and that required a different adaptation approach. In India, you cannot just sell burger, which has hamburger, and if you don't like that hamburger, that used to be the motto of McDonald's in 1950s and 60s. That you come to McDonald's to have hamburger. If you don't like it, you get hamburger. If you don't like it, you get hamburger. And that's arrogance was the reason why McDonald's became so dominant in the US. Okay, so when I said 7 is a reality, because this globalized global coordinates, you localize it. So that's why that becomes 7. Okay, but actually that actually becomes 8th element. The localized is the 8th element. That's a 8 pi. So in Einstein's field equation, he talks about 8 pi, and this 5 pi was this one, and the 6 pi was this and this, the localized coordinate. So that's actually a canonical pi. If you remember mathematics from your school days, a cone has all different geometrical shapes. You can fit that in a cone because cone is a triangle. So you can triangulate every shape that fits in a space. Okay, and 5 are indexed as parts of localized whole sum pi, and that's a perpetuating value. And our coordinate becomes their coordinate. Okay, whatever we know becomes their knowledge. Who is globalizing? Their knowledge. Italy now knows everything that India knows. Germany knows everything that India knows because Germany has globalized their space. Italy has globalized their space. If you look at Indian history, so many people have come to India to study. So whatever knowledge and wisdom India had, it has already been globalized. So now we have become dependent on the knowledge of others because we globalized our knowledge because we didn't value that knowledge. Ghar ki murgi dal barabar. So now if somebody else is packaging it and branding it and selling it at 100 times the rate, then we say, wow, and this must be good. Okay, so that's why when I say Mahatma Gandhi can globalize the space and realize the folly of that, he said, whatever I'm learning at other places, I could learn that in India itself. So of course, the Mother Nature wants each one of us to go through that cycle because Mother Nature doesn't want us to be a replica of Mahatma Gandhi. Mother Nature says that first you become, Mahatma Gandhi experienced that in one life, you experience that in infinite lives. Once you complete your one cycle of globalization, then you complete another cycle of localization. So that's why we then have 90,000 lives in infinity. Okay, and 90,000 is the years it takes for sun to rotate around the center of the universe, which is Vega. So it's rotating around the center of the universe. It takes 90,000 years, and we take 90,000 lives, and we take 90,000 lives as an animate element. Then we take 90,000 lives as an inanimate element. Okay, because whatever sun's energy is coming, that's what is creating animate element. Okay, so the globalized element is that 8 pi. That's the definition of globalized. Mathematical definition of globalized is 8 pi. Then the fourth factor is the breathing system. So you may not have experienced that, but you are breathing that reality. You are looking at media. So every day you are breathing something. A lot of things are being aired. And as a result of air, we know that whatever gets aired on television, on media, that's a scripted reality. So there's a perceived reality, a conceived reality, experienced reality, and the scripted reality, because this 90,000 becomes messenger RNA. In a body, we have 90,000 messenger RNA. So we script the information of our experience with 90,000 lives into that messenger RNA. Even the space scripts the energy of that 90,000 years and 90,000 moments into 90,000 messenger RNAs. That becomes 90,000 alleles, which is the origin of life, allele. It becomes 90,000 proteins. There's a reason why it's all 90,000, why it's not more than 90,000, why it's not less than 90,000, why we have 90,000 proteins in our body. There's a reason for that. It's our scripted reality. That's why proteins are storehouse of energy, because we script, it's a scripted energy. We script whatever lives we have lived, and that defines half of our reality, half instanton. Our past reality defines half of our reality. Other half is what we perceive, conceive, and experience in this life. Of course, it's our choice whether we want to make 100% of our life as scripted reality, 100% of life as experienced reality, 100% of life as conceived reality or perceived reality, or 100% of life as reality, without perceptions, without conceptions, without experience, or without script. So in the Western religions, it's all scripted reality, kind of what's given in Bible. In Indian metaphysics, it's all experienced reality, what gurus have experienced and report in Upanishads. So it's their becoming. So you can go by that guru, or kind of, you can experience that over those 90,000 years of life. And then we know that by the law of nature that you will become inanimate element after that, because that experience will lead you to globalization of a animate energy and then localization into inanimate energy. So you will go through that experience, can go through that circle, continue that circle of life forever by following what the gurus have given or what the script has been. Or you can use that experience as the starting point, rather than reproducing the experience that gurus already had. Rather than believing in that experience, we can say that whatever is given in our knowledge base, that should be our starting base. Let's understand that knowledge so that we do not reproduce that knowledge again. We are not becoming a robot reproducing the knowledge which is already given, which has already been experienced by other people, which we have experienced in our other lives. Why do we want to experience that? Why do we want to listen to any guru who says that this is the knowledge that you should abide by? That's your experience. I want to go next, beyond you. So if your breathing is correct, that's why in India, the breathing has always been the most important factor. If your breathing is correct, you already breathe whatever knowledge exists, whatever light exists. Then breathing is seen as an alternative way of gaining knowledge, oneness with the knowledge, yoga. Then everything which is given in Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, Bible, all other literature, whosoever is saying what is become irrelevant, because the energy of that becomes immanent in you. So a lot of gurus in India never had any education. They were completely illiterate. They never read Vedas. They never read Upanishads. And they still got mukti, param mukti. So each one of them is different paths. Shri Krishna has clearly shown there is a karma path, there is a jnana path, there is a bhakti path. But devaluing one path just because that one path is your reality, that's your ethnocentrism. Or by saying that you need to do all three paths, that's polycentrism. So we are just reproducing the scripted reality. We are just reproducing the perceived realities of other people, the conceived realities of other people, the experienced realities of other people. We have forgotten how to be original. We have forgotten the creativity gift that Mother Nature gives us. We have forgotten that Mother Nature makes each child same. Mother Nature does not discriminate among her children. It's we who add the layers of our perceptions, conceptions, experience, and scripts by breathing partial reality. Like polluting our body so that our body is not able to breathe the holistic reality of the universe. A lot of people say, how can we become immortal? Why Hanumanji is immortal? A lot of people say Hanumanji is still alive in the body. Because Hanumanji's body is absolutely clear. There is no contamination, no pollution. He's always moving with the air. All the pollution goes away. So he's going with Veg. Veg means, as I said, Veg is the center of the universe. Hanumanji is always traveling with Veg. If he's always traveling with Veg, he's always at the center of the universe. He can never die. But that doesn't mean that we cannot be Hanumanji. There are a lot of gurus who have become Hanumanji. And so that's why kind of Hanumanji has infinite energy, because if Hanumanji was only one entity, then if Hanumanji gives you blessings, then Hanumanji becomes zero. That's basic science. But Hanumanji is inspiring other people to become Hanumanji, who then, because they become, it's becoming their becoming system, they are the ones who are blessing you when you are devoted to Hanumanji. So after they finish blessing you as Hanuman, they begin their cycle again. Because becoming Hanuman and copying Hanuman does not take you to Param Mukti. Hanumanji is here to serve that inspirational force. But instead of being that inspirational force, if you start mediating everybody's reality and blessing everybody and saying that I will become the medium for you to fulfill your work. So I will become that Devta or Devi who fulfills the work of other people. So of course, you're making them dependent on you. So Hanumanji says, I'm not going to do it. Of course, if you want to be like me, and if you believe that Hanumanji blesses everybody to fulfill everything, so be it. That's what is one of the realities of Mother Nature has created. That's one of the realities that Hanumanji has created. So the entities who are blessing us with their energy, they are not the entity that we believe they are. When we worship Shiva, Shiva is not giving us blessings. It's the people who have become Shiva, the Siddha Purush. They are the ones who are giving us blessings. Because science is clear that energy is limited. Of course, sun is giving that energy and light, and therefore more and more energy gets created. So that's our breathing and separate reality. So that's a regiocentrism that gives rise to 7 pi. 7 pi is actually an elliptical pi. It's 55,000 divided by 21. And in Einstein's field equation, what he has done, he has said that each of these different pi's with different values have the same energy of 1. That's what his equations imply. That 1 equal to 7 pi, 1 equal to 8 pi, 1 equal to 5 pi, 1 equal to 2 pi. Okay, there are questions. Are there some questions here? Let me stop and take some questions. So because now I'm moving to the second phase of my presentation. Yes, please, if there are any questions, I will take them now.
I think there are a couple of questions. One, I think Ranjula Jain, she wanted to know if you could throw some more light on absolute quark. Hello?
Pardon?
Ranjula Jain, she has a question. If you can throw some light on absolute quark.
Okay. So absolute quark is a present quark. So in physics, in quantum mechanics, we talk about 6 quarks. One is called a up quark, which is the quark of togetherness energy. Then there's a down quark, which is a quark of otherness energy. Then there's a charm quark, which is a quark of attraction energy. Then there's a strange quark, which is a quark of repulsion energy. Then there's a top quark, which is also called truth quark, which is a quark of growth energy, growth consciousness. So all these are actually consciousness. And then there's this beauty quark, which is called bottom quark, which is an entropy consciousness. So these quarks come in 2 forms. They come in a form which is like them, which is like a present. It's actually a present quark, and then it comes in a potential form, which is called anti-quark. So scientists, when something is a potential element, like potential light. So potential light is anti-light. When somebody says antimatter, antimatter means potential matter. So scientists is not able to understand this because it's a management perspective. It's given in our scriptures as well. And scientists, because they live in their own world, they create their own reality, and therefore they call it anti-reality. And they say that potential is anti-us. Okay, so I am Vipin, there's a potential Vipin is an anti-Vipin. and potential anti-weapon is sort of conflicting with me. And therefore, can I become two weapons? Okay. So the present quark is the present form of that quark. Potential is the potential form of that quark. Of course, potential is immanent within the present quark. Now, present is absolute. It's also called param. So consciousness of present is called Paramatma. And the consciousness in materialized form is called dark matter. So every matter is an element of a dark matter. So whatever we see, that's all dark matter. And it's called known reality, Rachitartha. Okay, and so there's a term which is used when we say Prabhu, that's also that Param energy. So Prabhu, absolute consciousness, they all actually, the energy value you can quantify at 1600, 1600. Now, 1600 is also called moksha. So a lot of people say that the goal of life is moksha. The goal of life is not moksha. Moksha only means that you are free from the present effect because 1600 is a moment where other people are reproducing your consciousness. You become the absolute. So you become a guru whose consciousness everybody is reproducing. And nobody is going beyond that. Because every experience, every conception, every script is guided by what you have given. As I said, people used to come to India, and from India, every other thing has gone. So India's consciousness has become absolute consciousness, and that consciousness is taking out different forms and coming back to us. Gandhiji understood that reality, and therefore he said that let's look at our knowledge. We have not understood that reality, and therefore we have to go through that cycle. So when we
So Gupta, I think Professor Gupta, I think Mr. Pushparaj has also raised his hand.
Yeah, please.
Pushparaj, if you can unmute yourself and speak. Otherwise, can I ask you a question, Professor Dr.
Sure,
Gupta?
sure, please.
Yeah. No, you know, the entire treatise of yours, or the concept of yours, which you're talking about, is based on a lot of quantum physics, or the quantum status of anything in the world as such, or existence. Now, when we talk about quantum, we don't talk about zeros and ones. We're talking about any state. It could be anything. Now you talk about 6 quarks, and so the number of quarks and the number of possibilities could be anything in the, one can imagine. It can be absolutely anything. And so it's also talking about the antimatter, because even, a lot of people say that your, mind, I'm not talking about brain per se, the mind is actually a matter, a kind of matter. We may not really see it, we may not be able to touch it, but it is indeed a matter as such. Now, do you think there's some black hole in because there was a time when India was known as Sone ki Chiriya. What it meant to say in the sense, like, India was so well branded, hundreds of years back as such. Suddenly something started going wrong, so we lost our punch. We are no more known as called as Sone ki Chiriya. Something, we talk about quantum, we talk about black hole, we talk about time and the gravity as such. So there's some black hole, something which is going wrong, which probably we're not in a position to see. Do you think that makes sense?
Very good. Yeah, and that's a very good question. And that question is in the minds of anybody who has come, of course, with a very lot of sensitivity and conscientiousness. If you have looked at, kind of reflected on kind of Indians' experience. Now, the answers are all given, and so answer is it's a Kal Chakra, it's a time cycle. So as I just mentioned, that there are 6 quarks, but then your light has 180, your space has 18,000. So each one of them is a different combination that you can create by combining this attraction energy and the repulsion energy, and the otherness energy and the togetherness energy. So actually it's a consciousness, because those quarks we also creating. So if you have emotion, a strong emotion that I am together with a God or together with a child or together with this object, in that moment, your mind is manas, right? So that's the energy value of manas is actually 38. And 38 creates a thing. Thing is a vastu. And the energy value of vastu is 9. It has 9 elements because it has 9 photons. It's made of 9 photons. Actually, it's made of 9 correlations between 9 photons and 9 potential photons. So that's what is a thing. That thing then makes you matter. Okay. So the mind materializes a thing that makes you matter. So that's why we think that mind is a matter. I hope that understand. So,
no, I agree with you. But yeah, so please carry on.
So how says that the time chakra says that that whatever we have, we start feeling that whatever we have is not sufficient. There is more to the reality than what we have. Of course, there is more to the reality than what we have, because reality is Siddh. So a conscious entity is the one which makes the reality. So हम कहते हैं कि Siddh or Shiv is a goalkeeper who manifests the reality.
True.
So when we say reality is 7, so Shiv or Siddh is also 7. It's a goalkeeper, but a reality beyond Shiv is Mahashiv. Mahashiv is the thing, that 9. Because a Shiv can have a consciousness about linkages outside Shiv and within Shiv. And therefore, the goal, the thing becomes 9, because there's a Shiv has a oneness within and oneness without. So the totality of that is 16. The Shiv as 7 and 9 as a transcendental Shiv, Mahashiv. And that 16 is called Madhusudan or Sati Parvati. It's called Ascents. It's called Param Mukti. So that 16 is, in India, we call it Srijak. The Srijak in English, I translate that as primordial greeter. Primordial means a person who's outstanding. And greeter means who gives gift. And what is a primordial greeter? A primordial greeter is a person who gives you a gift so that you also become a primordial greeter.
Oh.
So every person has a potential to be a primordial greeter. And that's what is Param Mukti. It's more, moksha is 1600 because 100 is the reproduction. It's a guru energy, grutva energy. It's a reproduction of whatever is 16 because you are reproducing that 10 that I explained earlier, and you're producing that. So 10 times 10 is 100, and that 16 times 100 becomes 1600. It can all be shown scientifically. So what has become is that in Satyug, people used to go with their own reality. But then we started depending on experience, then we started depending on conceptions, then we started depending on the perceptions. So we are living in an age where perceptions matter. Mm-hmm. And we think that perceptions are the reality. All modern science and modern management theories are based on let's bring everybody together. Let's see what everybody's perception is. कोई elephant को रस्सी देख रहा है, कोई elephant को trunk देख रहा है, कोई elephant को कुछ और देख रहा है. Let's bring all this reality together and let's make our own perceived reality or scripted reality. So we bring perceived reality, we script it. Script means we digitalize it. And we say that's our knowledge bank. So Facebook and others, all they have knowledge because they have all those digits. And we have let ourselves be digit. We have let our mind be a digit because we are just copying what everybody is doing. We are just following the brands. So everybody has got a branded knowledge. When India was Sone Ki Chidiya, when India had a brand, everybody took the branded knowledge from India. A lot of people came to India. And they took the knowledge from India. That knowledge must have done some work. That knowledge didn't go in a black hole. And so when we say black hole's energy value is 82. It's called Vishnu Nabhi, and it's actually a diseased human entity. So a person who dies goes into becomes a black hole. Black hole means no consciousness. void of consciousness, a zero information stage. Because all the information is left in the consciousness, in the mass that got created. Because every moment we are creating a attraction energy and repulsion energy, that consciousness is materializing into different forms of quarks. And those quarks are creating these multiple realities that we are then perceiving.
Sure, thank you.
So we need to understand this first, so that we then take the knowledge which exists and the branding that exists in the right perspective, so that we don't become puppets. So if Facebook has so much value, that means that we have become puppets. And every moment we become more puppet, our puppet index can be measured by the wealth that Facebook is increasing or Elon Musk is increasing. Everybody knows that we are going to run after electric vehicles and we'll run after Elon Musk. That's why we are making every moment, we are making India poor. Because the Facebook's value is multiplying and all the wealth people, their value is multiplying, wealth polarization is increasing. So every moment people know that people of India are becoming more and more addicted to Facebook. They are becoming more and more addicted to the idea that there should be electric vehicle of, and we should take that knowledge from Western companies. More and more we are becoming addicted that our knowledge is insufficient and deficit. More and more we are becoming addicted that we should be dependent not on Swarajya, not on Mahatma Gandhi principle, but on Elon Musk principle. Every day, and that's why kind of so we can easily measure what's the stock market growth of US. That's our puppet index of India. And each one of us is contributing to making ourselves a puppet and India a puppet. We are branding India as a puppet country. And there's a very clear evaluation of that. Even a child can tell you what's the puppet index value of India and how India has become more and more puppet since independence. While believing that we are gaining power because now we know more about, because we are producing ourselves as puppets. So we see that we have more power because we know ourselves. We know our reality. We know that what we are going to materialize next moment because we have become puppets. Our imagination, we are bounded by whatever we have or whatever is being fed to us. We are not going and creating something beyond electric vehicles. We are going by the imagination. All the Indians are contributing to the imagination of Facebook and Tesla and Amazon. We are not contributing to imagination, which is Swarajya. We are not contributing to imagination, which is India. So how can India be a Soni Chidiya anymore? We want to make it an imprisoned Chiriya. And therefore it is an imprisoned Chiriya. We should commend ourselves and pat ourselves in back that we have made India that we wanted India to be.
True.
Right. So that's where this management element comes in, that if my friend believes the space to be local and says that India, the village is a local village, how can you correct the person and say that no, this village is actually global? This village is something that the whole universe should copy that village. That village should become the ideal, so that we can go back to our basic values and enjoy life, rather than every moment trying to get cheap fun by mocking people on social media, creating mental stress, alienating people. That's what we have become. Yesterday, even in my IIM Ahmedabad 1990 group, people were questioning that none of this work is peer reviewed, none of this is correct, you are all wrong. And I exited from that group. I said, you are, first of all, you have become robots. All of you are in the top positions of Indian companies. They are managing directors of and the boards of all the top banks. And there's idle bystanders or making fun, or if other person makes fun, they put a happiness and laughing icon. I said, I'm not going to become a laughing stock. If you guys have closed your mind to the reality, then so be it. Let Mother Nature give you that 90,000 births, and this birth you're enjoying that upness, that you are very wealthy. Mother Nature will allow you to experience the poverty also in the future births, unless you become aware of this reality.
So, Dr. Gupta, can you throw some light on the role of gravity in kind of positioning India as such?
Sure. So gravity again is based on the consciousness. So it's a gravity. So India's gravity has been decentered, right? So when I say that all our knowledge and energy and the consciousness that exists in India, first of all, it's going outside. That's not a problem. Mm-hmm. It's good to share that knowledge. We say that the doctrine of emanation means Vasudeva Kutumbakam, the whole world is our universe. But the problem is that we let our gravity be decentered by then becoming dependent on the transformations and transmutations of that energy. Because think of it, if you give somebody something new, okay, so right now I don't know anything. So a scientist finds a new discovery, and what happens? The whole media talks about it. Ye important discovery hai. So new is important. New attracts attention. It's addictive. So when now everybody is saying that this is a great discovery. So what would happen? Until now, you're using Indian knowledge. You say, wow, everybody's, I'm the only one. And if the 7 billion people are saying that this other knowledge is very important, it's a new knowledge, and you don't know that knowledge was taken from you. And everybody now says that they don't believe you. Okay, so they say that how can they be one person who has given that knowledge, because the person who copied from you never gave you credit. Okay, you are in the footnote if you were there. Okay, and if you look at Western academics, in Western academics, plagiarism is a very important thing. That means that you should not copy exactly verbatim whatever knowledge you are getting from outside. That has been ingrained part of American and Western thinking. Plagiarism is accepted. It's not an important issue in China. In China, plagiarism, copying others was a merit. That's how you were given government roles, that you can copy whatever knowledge is existing. Confucian के जो है उनको तुम copy कर सकते हो, नहीं कर सकते verbatim. So plagiarism was a preferred skill in the East. Plagiarism was a negative skill, a detested skill in the West. Why? They were taking all the knowledge from India, but they were not giving credit, because plagiarism meant that you have to recopy and rebrand and restructure it. And therefore, the whole concept of intellectual property rights came in, because they know that their skill is to reformat that has been culturally ingrained, while Eastern knowledge is to copy. So you define international rules by intellectual property rights. Who will benefit? The person who is copying and is translating that. So we know that all multinational corporations, I've been teaching, everybody's teaching, the most important thing is how do you learn from different centers? So multinational companies, brand value is dependent on how strongly they are learning from different countries. That learning we are not calling plagiarism. That learning we are not calling copying. We are calling that innovation. It's a spin on the words.
Very true.
And therefore, can we become, we say that we don't understand the reality of innovation. We say it's good to learn. We have now renamed copying into learning. Because what is learning is a programmed reality, is a programming, is scripted reality that you are scripting again. And how you are creating those scripts? By codifying whatever is experience. You're abstracting that into concepts. And then scripting that into digits. So fundamentally, it's the same. Because we don't know, we are not able to negotiate international markets. We are not able to negotiate international law. We are always at the receiving end. Why? Because our knowledge of how to manipulate has also been taken. We have trained others. So we have given the secret of bird की जान कहां पर है, वो gravity है. वो gravity हमने किसी और को दे दी है. तो that person is now managing our gravity. तो आप है ना, वो डॉल होती है, उसकी gravity खींचेंगे नहीं है, तो हिलती रहेगी. कभी हम इधर भागेंगे, कभी उधर भागेंगे. यहाँ पे भागेंगे, पता लगेगा कि ना, because those 6 forces are there, that person is attracting us, then they start repelling us, they start manipulating us. Then we go to the second country. अभी रशिया फ्रेंड था, अब यूएसए फ्रेंड हो गया. अब लगता है यूएसए भी है ना हमको मैनिपुलेट कर रहा है, पाकिस्तान पे जा रहा है फिर से. तो अब हम किसी और कंट्री पे जाएंगे, फिर हम कहेंगे नहीं, हम तो नॉन अलाइंड फिर से बन जाएंगे, क्योंकि हमारे को क्लियरिटी नहीं है.
True.
So that's why it's very important to understand the management dimension of this. That how do we correct, first of all, our friends? Because if we say our, हमको लगता है हम तो सही है बिल्कुल ही, ये हम तो कर ही नहीं सकते, ये तो हमारी रियलिटी है, हम कैसे करें? तो let's say how do you change your friends? अब तुम फ्रेंड का कर सकते हो तो फिर अपना भी कर सकते हो, या तुम्हारी फ्रेंड तुम्हारे को हेल्प कर देगा अगर वो फ्रेंड है तो, कि तुमने हेल्प करती फ्रेंड की, या किसी की हेल्प करती, वो फ्रेंड बन जाएगा तुम्हारा. So if your friend, a villager, thinks that space is global, if you connect that villager with the global space and say कि आप जो बना रहे हैं, आप जो कर रहे हैं, उसकी global value है, उसकी value zero नहीं है, तो don't give it free to these multinational corporations who are going to learn it free and they're going to sell it for 100 times more rate, 18,000 more rate. 18,000 possibility है, 90,000 possibility है, एक का 90,000 हो जाता है नेचर में, एक का ही और ज्यादा हो जाता है. तो आप जो एक चीज ले रहे हो इंडिया से, विलेज से, एक यूनिट, एक छोटी सी नॉलेज आपने ले ली, उसको आप 90,000 डिफरेंट फॉर्म्स करके $90,000 में आप बेच सकते हो वापस इंडिया को, और हर एक आदमी को बेच सकते हो. उससे तो आपने एक विलेज से लिया, लेकिन आप नाउ ऑल द इंडियंस, ईच वन ऑफ देम विल गिव यू $90,000. ये ब्यूटी देखो. तो the question is कि how do you change the perceived reality? विलेजर को कैसे एजुकेट करो? विलेजर को एजुकेट करने के लिए आपको अपने आप को एजुकेट करना पड़ेगा, वो आप करना नहीं चाहते. तो पहले वो परसेप्शन चेंज करो कि इंडिया ग्लोबल नहीं है. भाई इंडिया की सारी नॉलेज ग्लोबल हो गई है, तो इंडिया तो ग्लोबल है ही. If we see ourselves as global, the value of global is far more than value of local. ग्लोबल जो है वो हर एक लोकल में जाएगा, तो आप उस चीज को रिप्रोड्यूस कर सकते हो हर जगह पे. लोकल है वो रिप्रोड्यूस हो ही नहीं सकता, तो उसकी लोकल की वैल्यू 1 रहेगी, ग्लोबल की वैल्यू 90,000 रहेगी, और 90,000 का भी मल्टीपल हो जाएगा. जब भी हमारी परचेसिंग पावर पैरिटी हमारी ज्यादा है, एक्सचेंज रेट कम है, क्यों? इट्स ए मेजर ऑफ आवर प्रॉफिट इंडेक्स. द डिस्पैरिटी बिटवीन एक्सचेंज रेट एंड परचेसिंग पावर is a measure of how much how much we have become imprisoned by other people's ethnocentrism. जो हम अपनी वैल्यू को डिमिनिश कर रहे हैं और दूसरों की वैल्यू को बढ़ा रहे हैं. Because Indians are emotional people. Emotion is opposite of ego. ईगो से वैल्यू बढ़ती है, ब्रैगिंग होती है. इमोशन से बैगिंग होती है. We are expert beggars कि भगवान हमारे को ये दे दो, गवर्नमेंट हमारे को ये दे दो, हमारे को कोर्ट ये दे दो. So we have become expert beggars. Expert beggar की तो वैल्यू है ना, वो प्रॉफिट इंडेक्स ही है वो तो.
Dr. Gupta, there is one question from Professor Rajesh Srivastava. What is trading factor?
Okay, yeah. So that's a very good trading factor. Is actually a trading force. So whatever reality that we are creating, and interestingly, now you should be able to quantify what's the energy value of trading factor, because what trading factor is कि है ना, जो आपने जो एक चीज का पहले आपने दो बना दिया, your local coordinate, you make it a global coordinate, and उसका फिर आपने 6 बना दिया, तो है ना that potential, I said 6 quarks and potential quarks, so 2 becomes 6. So a quark, absolute quark and a potential quark, a quark and an anti-quark, they become 6 different forms of quarks. So 26 is a almighty creator. तो almighty creator जो है उसको कहा गया त्वम, TVAM, त्वम की energy value 26 है. So trading factor is that every moment we are trading this almighty creator who is creating our reality, and we are becoming imprisoned by that reality, and that almighty creator is ultimately being created by that Shani, which is 18, our potential. Potential is 6 in the present past time, 6 in the present time, 6 in the future time. 18 is the Shani, is the future of everybody. So that Shani is a female Shani. Saturn as Shani is -1. Okay, so that's so that -1 and 18, that becomes your 19 energy, and then 7 energy plus reality is your almighty creator, 26. Shakti plus Shiv is almighty creator, Tvam. Shakti is 19, 18, and 1 from -1. So that's the Shani's reality from becoming feminine to masculine. And then 7 of this time and space forms. Okay, so that's the almighty creator, and that's what is trading factor, that we should realize that we should not breathe this trading factor. We should correct our breathing. If we stop breathing this contaminated, polluted reality which has been materialized, if we consume materialized reality, we become materialistic. If we become materialistic, then we become material. That's why we become dead. We are animate, we become inanimate. Why? Because every moment we are materializing our reality, our consciousness, we are creating entropy. That entropy element is actually God. Ishwar is nothing but entropy element that is perpetuating. So as I already said, all these are different forms. The people who understand, Hanuman who understands, Hanuman doesn't bless you. He inspires others to bless you like Hanuman. So Ishwar is the entropy element, and so all these people who are blessing you so that you become beggars, because they believe. Why people are blessing you? Because a Siddh people, that person also doesn't believe in the reality. Therefore, they're not Siddh in whatever state they are. They want to test, because they still feel that even our mukti, even after kind of moksha, they feel that there's still something missing. And therefore, they keep on then guiding you and keep on intermediating and mediating your reality. Okay. So they are both positive and negative of it. A guru is guiding you, that's a positive element. But if you become dependent on guru, that's your negativity.
Dr. Gupta, can I ask you one more question?
Yes, please.
Yeah. See, the COVID-19, when it hit us last year in the month of February, March, since then the entire world has rattled, and we all know it. And I think in the past one and a half year and all, even the branding, the global branding of all nations have taken a big hit. There's been a loss of almost about $13 trillion of businesses all around. So, the gaps between the nations, the top ones, let's say US and China, is also going down. And India also has taken a big hit because of that. So what do you think is the most important thing to concentrate on, so that we take advantage of the pandemic, the sufferings from the pandemic, and then we recover quickly as soon as possible, and then become one of the most popular nations to be reckoned with.
Very good. So first of all, this I've shown in my work that this COVID-19 is part of Mother Nature's time cycle.
Correct.
And I will explain why, because this is Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga means that everything is being driven. Kal, of course, Kal means time. Okay, so that Kal is Yam. Yam means that bring everybody's death as Kal. Right. So Kal, time element, brings everybody's death. That's why Yam is called God of death. Yam, I said, it's a light. So light is called a god of death. Why? Because light charms you, attracts you, so that you become addicted to that light. So light, of course, guides you, but that guidance itself becomes addictive. So what has happened is that this is a cycle of end of Kali Yuga. I showed in my work that how 2032, July 1st, a new cycle of Satyuga is beginning. Now, Kali Yuga means that ultimately at the Charama Sima, the Pralaya time will be that everything will become digitalized and automated. So the COVID-19 was Mother Nature's medium to transform everything into digital. When you say that everything is going down, actually the wealthy people's wealth has never grown as much as in the last 2 years.
Very true.
So overall wealth of the world has increased tremendously over the last 2 years. Rich people have become richer at exponential rate. So that when you're talking about that everybody has taken a hit, it's a particular perceived reality that a majority of people, only 10% of people have becoming richer, 90% of people have taken hit. But as a whole, we have moved, our wealth has increased multiple times. Okay. If you have to tell Mother Nature, if you have to ask for begging, that हमारे earth की है ना material wealth increase करो, तो हम कहना चाहिए every year please give us COVID. That should be our prayer. So what has happened is that what's going to happen in the next 10 years? जो digital companies हैं, Facebook, Amazon, इन सब की value बढ़ती चली जाएगी. Because like Elon Musk has said, he wants to create a factory where there is no human. So ultimately, if there is no human, what would happen? You're going to reproduce a single car. Everybody will have Model T of the same color. If you want a car, it will be black color, Model T. The only thing is now it will have multiple colors because robot, you can go program it, but it won't have that authenticity. So the growth and the shift, the Satyug means that each individual, Sat means we are the truth. That's what Sat means, that each individual is the truth. So in Satyug, each person becomes a deity. Deity means each person becomes a divine entity. Divine means conscious determination, imagination, virtue, intuition, natural approach, and excellence. So each person makes conscious determination of not being a robot. Each person becomes a deity with the energy value of 1 because that person has oneness with everything. And when we all become deities, that's when India will again retain its glory. And that process will begin July 1, 2032. Until then, we are going to become more and more robots. So our children have a bright future, but unfortunately we don't.
Dr. Gupta, are you sharing any video or any screen?
No, so let me resume share. No, I was not sharing it because we are having conversation.
Okay.
It's already 7:30. Do you want me to finish it?
I think we were planning to finish it by 8 o'clock. So we have about 5-10 minutes now.
Sure. So essentially, I can share this thing, but essentially, my next slides work on how do you shift the perceptions of people, experiences of people, conceptions of people. Okay. So for instance, scripted reality, if your friend is a commoner, observing that all celebrities in Mumbai are consciously deciding to form global networks. So, therefore, that person now also wants to become global, right? And therefore, that person now has mental tension that all the celebrities are now endorsing global brands, and I don't have the money.
Right.
Right. So that creates that mental challenge. That creates that we are running every moment our life. We are just running without taking care of our health, without taking care of kind of our relationships, without taking care of the things that matter, without understanding the reality. तो मेरा मैसेज है ना दिवाली पे यही है कि ना may light be with you. May you see light. Every day सूर्य को नमस्कार करिए, सूर्य से है ना मांगिए, क्योंकि सूर्य is the one who has created each one of us deity. He is the one who has created Shiva. He is the one who has created everyone. और मैंने बताया सूर्य का मदर है ना शनि थे. So who has become now Saturn, and Saturn is now manipulating us with its energy, because all our consciousness is now embodied in that Saturn. So therefore, kind of, we should create oneness with sun and be the sun who illuminates everybody. And उसके लिए हमारे को ना पटाखे चाहिए ना कुछ चाहिए, हमारे से ही है ना वो पटाखे बनेंगे, हमारे से ही सब कुछ बनेगा. तो आप जो लाइट है आपके, प्लीज टेक ऑल द लाइट ऑन दिवाली and just be happy, joyful, and create a better future for yourself, for your friends, for family, for the nation, for your children, for everybody, for the humanity, and for birds, animals, all the entities.
So it's so nice of you, Dr. Gupta. We too wish you and your family a very, very happy Diwali, and let there be enough light, enough happiness, enough peace, enough prosperity for all of us. And I can't forget what the song of John Lennon, Imagine. So it's so relevant. In fact, you believe me, the level of your talk was so high that I was absolutely mesmerized, and I'm sure the audience was absolutely mesmerized. There were a few questions and all, and there will be many questions. So we look forward to your book, and we look forward to getting the access of your book here in India. So I'm sure we will read that, and probably ask you questions on some forum, maybe some blog,
So let me just interrupt you. Sorry, so let me share this. I have created a website, and I'm looking at questions at Quora. People are asking questions. I already have like 2,500 people in the last 2 months who ask me questions. I'm responding every day. I've created a small one question answer on the newsletter. So you can go on my website. You can look at the excerpts of different books. Initial books are complex. Let me warn you, because what I was doing is I was translating all, or translating in the sense of taking all the words, concepts from Indian literature in different, whether it's from Jain religion, Buddha religion, or even different types of religions, and all in different languages, South languages and other languages, and taking those words and connecting all of them, and quantifying their energy values, and then connecting that with scientific terms by looking at our cells, what happened to planets. So that's a very complex work. And only now, with my seventh book was, so my first books were what is divine energy, then what is present reality, is divine energy, is present reality. Then I talked about what is consciousness, what is para-consciousness. And then I talked about seventh book, what is self-awareness. Then eighth book was what is human factor. And now this is trading factor. And then I'm working now on the cultural factor book. Each one of them kind of varies between 100,000 words to 150,000 words, with many kind of huge tables, which provide kind of integration of different concepts and knowledge in India and internationally. So they will become reference works in future, but so they're difficult to understand. But if you read, kind of, for instance, 7th book, some of the chapters are easy to understand, and this will be a good way to connect and see kind of how it evolves in future.
Absolutely, and I'm sure it's going to be extremely interesting. Indranil Sahib, are you there, Mr. Indranil Ghosh? I would like to tell the audience, that all members of the past presidents of BMA and members of Executive Council and the attendees, is that we could get in touch with Dr. Vipin Gupta only with the help of Dr. Rajesh Srivastava. So I'm extremely thankful on behalf of BMA and all the attendees that Dr. Rajesh Srivastava introduced us with such a top-class academician and who is dealing at a level which is at a very, very different kind of orbit for all of us, you know, and we really need to read his books, and we really need to understand a lot of things. Now, I was quite excited about all the terms which you talked about, ethnocentrism and geocentrism, and you know, things like that, and you know, linking it to the realities what exists today is, I think it's something a business school should really, really focus on. You know, we're becoming too probably materialistic, and I think it's time to change. Rajesh Srivastava, sir, would you like to say a few words? You'll have to unmute. Yeah, you're fine.
I just wanted to thank him for sparing his time.
Absolutely.
I know it is for some youngster, it may be a little tough to understand the basics, but still, if they got one point, that should be enough. I always say that from any lectures, if we can pick up one point and elaborate it and adopt it, that makes our life different. So with that, I'd like to thank Dr. Vipin Gupta for agreeing to share our BMA platform. And I'd like to thank Dr. Kavita Lagate for the initiating the same. And I'd like to thank Dr. Vigyan Verma for coordinating and hosting the same. Thank you very much for the audience as well as the BMA people.
Dr. Srivastava, Dr. Gupta, can you just stop sharing your video, the PowerPoint presentation, because we would request all the attendees to keep the video on so that we can take a picture, a nice and decent picture for on the day before Diwali, and something which we'll remember for a long, long time. So requesting all the participants to keep their video on, so we'd like to take a picture. Wonderful, wonderful. I will still need some more people to keep the video on. Some more. We still have the window with some still pictures. All I request you to keep the video on just for a second so that we can take a picture. Very nice of you. Lakshmi? Is it done?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Gupta. And thank you all the participants. Thank you, Srivastava, sir, for getting a wonderful speaker on a day which is so auspicious. Happy Diwali to each one of you, to your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I wish you all a very, very happy and prosperous New Year. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you.